I'm Isla. Today I'm going to tell you my story. But before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. So, I never expected to find myself in the middle of a billionaire family drama. I was just a regular event coordinator at Horizon Heights, the fanciest hotel in Boston. My job was making sure the elite's parties went smoothly. Nothing more, nothing less. The first time I saw Maxwell Pierce was at his son's charity gala. Everyone knows Dominic Pierce, tech mogul, media darling, philanthropist extraordinaire. The ballroom was packed with celebrities and business titans, all laughing at Dom's jokes and praising his generosity. I noticed his father sitting alone in the corner, struggling to reach his water glass. No one helped him. No one even looked at him. "Here you go, sir," I said, handing him the glass. He looked up with the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. "Thank you, young lady. You're the first person to speak to me all evening." "I'm Isla," I said. "I work here." "Maxwell Pierce," he replied with a weak handshake. "Dom's old man, though you wouldn't know it from how often he remembers that fact." That's when Dominic's wife Vanessa approached us. Picture-perfect smile, designer dress, diamonds everywhere. "There you are, Maxwell," she said, voice dripping with fake concern. "We've been looking for you. The photographer wants family photos." Maxwell sighed. "I've been right here the whole time, Vanessa." "Well, come along now." She turned to me with a dismissive glance. "We don't need anything else, thank you." As I walked away, I heard Maxwell say, "The girl was just being kind, Vanessa. Something this family could learn about." I didn't think much of it until a week later when Maxwell showed up at the hotel alone, asking for me at the reception. "Mr. Pierce," I said, surprised. "How can I help you?" "Please, call me Maxwell," he insisted. "I was wondering if you might join me for lunch. I don't have many people to talk to these days." I should have said no. Getting involved with clients' personal lives was against hotel policy. But something about his lonely eyes made me agree. Over lunch, Maxwell told me his story. He'd built Pierce Innovations from nothing, working 18-hour days for decades. When Dominic graduated from business school, Maxwell handed him the reins. "Biggest mistake of my life," he confessed. "Dominic was brilliant at business, but terrible at being a son." "What do you mean?" I asked. "After his mother died, something changed in him. He moved me out of my home, for my safety, he said, into a guest house on his property. My nurses report to him, not me. My friends mysteriously stop calling. My bank accounts require his approval for any withdrawal over $100. "That's horrible," I said. "Have you talked to him about it?" Maxwell laughed bitterly. "Every time I try, I'm being confused or difficult. The doctors he hired say I'm showing signs of cognitive decline, but I'm sharp as ever, Isla. I'm just isolated." "Do you have other family?" I asked. "My daughter, Sophia, but she lives in Europe. Every time she tries to visit, Dominic creates some emergency that prevents it." I felt sick listening to this. "That sounds like elder abuse, Maxwell." "It is," he said quietly. "But who would believe me over Dominic Pierce, America's favorite billionaire?" I would, I thought. Our lunches became a regular thing. Maxwell was fascinating, full of stories about business, travel, and life. He wasn't confused at all. "You know what I miss most?" he told me during our third lunch. "Being listened to. At board meetings, people used to hang on my every word. Now my own nurses speak to me like I'm 5 years old." "That must be infuriating," I said. "It's worse than that," Maxwell replied, his eyes clear and sharp. "It's dehumanizing. Dominic's created this narrative that I'm losing my mind, and everyone believes it because it's easier than questioning him." "Why would he do this?" I asked. Maxwell sighed deeply. "Control? Money? Power? The usual suspects? But there's something else." He leaned forward. "I think he's been making some questionable business decisions. Military contracts that cross ethical lines. Environmental corners being cut." When I started asking questions, "That's when the confusion narrative started?" "Exactly," Maxwell nodded. "Convenient timing, wouldn't you say?" One day, he showed up with a young man. "Isla, this is Noah, my grandson. Dom's boy." Noah looked uncomfortable. Grandpa, Dad doesn't know we're here. That's the point, Maxwell winked. Noah was nothing like his father or mother. Quiet, thoughtful, and clearly concerned about Maxwell. Dad says Grandpa needs supervision because of his condition, Noah explained after Maxwell went to the restroom. But whenever we're alone, he seems fine to me. He seems fine to me too, I agreed. The thing is, Noah lowered his voice. I overheard Dad talking with Mom and Patricia about changing Grandpa's will. Patricia's been pushing hard for it. Who's Patricia? I asked. Dad's assistant. She practically runs his life, and now she's trying to run Grandpa's too. When Maxwell returned, I watched him more carefully. There was nothing wrong with this man except the people controlling his life. The next week, Maxwell missed our lunch, and the next. I was getting worried when Noah called me. They've restricted Grandpa's movements, he whispered. Dad caught him looking through old company files and flipped out, said he was interfering and confused. Can you help him? I asked. I'm trying, Noah said. But I'm only 17. They don't listen to me. What about your mom? I asked. Can she help? Noah's bitter laugh reminded me of his grandfather. Mom does whatever Dad tells her to. She likes the lifestyle too much to rock the boat. And what about you? I asked. Aren't you worried about crossing your father? Every day, Noah admitted. But Grandpa was always there for me. When Dad was too busy for my baseball games, Grandpa came. When I was struggling with math, Grandpa tutored me. I can't abandon him now just because I'm scared. That's when I realized Maxwell needed more than a lunch friend. He needed an ally. My first step was contacting Sophia, Maxwell's daughter. It wasn't hard to find her. She was a well-known artist in Paris. Hello? She answered skeptically when I called. Miss Pierce? My name is Ayla Jensen. I'm a friend of your father's. There was a pause. My brother doesn't allow my father to have friends. That's exactly why I'm calling. After hours of conversation, Sophia agreed to come to Boston secretly. Meanwhile, I enlisted my roommate Rachel, a nursing student, to help gather evidence. This is serious, Ayla, Rachel warned as we planned. Elder abuse is criminal, but going against a billionaire? That's dangerous. So is doing nothing, I replied. Rachel managed to get a temporary position on Maxwell's care team through a staffing agency. She discovered Maxwell's medication included unnecessary sedatives prescribed by a doctor on Dominic's payroll. They're keeping him drugged, Rachel reported, outraged. No wonder he sometimes appears confused. Sophia arrived the next day, staying at my apartment to avoid detection. When she saw the medication list Rachel had smuggled out, she was furious. That manipulative, greedy little... She stopped herself. We need a lawyer. Enter Mark Chen, Sophia's law school friend specializing in elder law. He reviewed everything we'd gathered. This is textbook isolation and control, Mark said grimly. But Dominic's too smart to leave obvious evidence. We need more. Like what? I asked. Financial records showing he's misusing Maxwell's money? Medical records proving unnecessary medication? Witnesses to the isolation? Noah became our inside man, secretly documenting everything while pretending to be the obedient son. Sophia worked with Mark on the legal strategy. Rachel monitored Maxwell's health. And I planned the moment that would change everything. The annual Pierce Foundation Gala was approaching. Dominic's biggest public event of the year. Every important person in Boston would attend. It was the perfect stage. Are you sure about this? Noah asked when I explained my idea. Your grandfather deserves to be heard, I said firmly. Dad will destroy you, Noah warned. I smiled. Let him try. The night of the gala arrived. Maxwell was there, as expected, seated at a table far from the stage, heavily medicated but still conscious. I was working, coordinating the event staff, but keeping my eye on him. Dominic took the stage to thunderous applause. Welcome, friends. Your generosity tonight will help Pierce Foundation continue our mission of innovation for humanity. Vanessa beamed from her front row seat. Patricia, Dominic's assistant, hovered nearby, surveying the room with calculating eyes. When Dominic paused for a sip of water, I made my move. I walked directly to Maxwell's table. It's time, I whispered, helping him to his feet. His eyes cleared slightly. "You're sure?" "Positive." I guided Maxwell toward the stage as Dominic continued his speech. People noticed, whispers spread, but no one intervened. Who would stop an old man at his son's event? Dominic faltered mid-sentence when he spotted us approaching. "Dad, what are you—" I helped Maxwell up the steps to the stage. The microphone picked up every word as Maxwell spoke. "Hello, everyone. For those who don't remember, I'm Maxwell Pierce, the founder of Pierce Innovations and this foundation." The room fell silent. Dominic's face flickered between confusion and rage. "Dad, you're not well," he said, reaching for the microphone. "Let me help you back to your seat." Maxwell stood straighter. "I'm perfectly well when I'm not being drugged, Dominic." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Vanessa shot to her feet. Patricia was already on her phone. "What nonsense is this?" Dominic laughed nervously. "My father has been struggling with dementia." "I don't have dementia," Maxwell declared. "I have a son who wants my money and control of my company." Security started moving toward the stage. That's when Sophia emerged from the back of the room. "Security won't be necessary," she announced, "unless you want to physically remove the legal owner of this building from his own stage." Dominic blanched. "Sophia, what are you doing here?" "Supporting my father," she replied coolly. "Something you seem to have forgotten how to do." Mark Chen stepped forward next, holding a folder. "Mr. Pierce, I've filed emergency petitions with the court regarding your father's care and finances. We have substantial evidence of elder abuse, financial exploitation, and medical malpractice." "This is ridiculous," Dominic sputtered. "Who are you people?" "They're my friends," Maxwell said, his voice stronger now. "Something you wouldn't recognize, son." Noah walked to the stage, joining his grandfather. "It's true, Dad. I've seen everything. The medications, the isolation, the control." "Noah?" Dominic's voice cracked with disbelief. "You're part of this?" "I'm part of the truth," Noah replied steadily. "I've watched what you've done to Grandpa. The way you speak to him when others aren't around. The medications you force him to take. It's wrong, Dad." "You ungrateful," Dominic started, before catching himself as he remembered the audience. The crowd was murmuring loudly now. Phones were out recording. Dominic's perfectly crafted public image was crumbling in real time. "You've kept me prisoner," Maxwell continued. "Changed my medication, stolen my company, alienated my family and friends. No more, Dominic." Patricia rushed toward the stage. "This is all a misunderstanding." "Is it a misunderstanding that you and Dominic have been having an affair for years?" Maxwell asked calmly. Vanessa's gasp was audible through the entire room. "Or that the two of you have been systematically draining my personal accounts into offshore holdings?" Maxwell continued. "Or that you've been forging my signature on company documents." "These are serious allegations." A woman in the front row stood up. I recognized her as the district attorney. "Mr. Pierce, I'd be interested in seeing this evidence." Dominic looked around wildly, realizing he was cornered. "This is all a setup. He's confused. He's telling the truth," Rachel said, stepping forward in her nurse's uniform. "I've been monitoring Mr. Pierce's medication. He's been systematically over-medicated to appear confused and compliant." What happened next was chaos. Dominic lunged at Maxwell, screaming about ingratitude. Security restrained him as he threatened everyone. Me, Sophia, Noah, even his own father. "I'll destroy all of you," he shouted, completely losing control. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," Maxwell said sadly. "I know exactly who you are. And now, so does everyone else." The aftermath was swift and merciless. The DA launched an investigation that uncovered years of financial crimes. Dominic's medical team confessed to the unnecessary medication. Patricia turned on Dominic to save herself, revealing even more schemes. Vanessa filed for divorce the next day, taking half of everything that wasn't frozen by the courts. Dominic's reputation was destroyed. No more magazine covers or television appearances celebrating his genius. Maxwell moved in with Sophia temporarily while his health improved. The company board voted unanimously to reinstate him as chairman emeritus. Noah, now free from his father's toxic influence, started college with a clearer path. I was so scared of my dad for so long. Noah confided in me over coffee a month later. I always thought I needed his approval, his connections, his money to make something of myself. And now? I asked. Now I know the only approval I need is my own. He smiled. Grandpa's teaching me what real leadership looks like. As for me, I lost my job for unprofessional involvement with clients, but I gained something better. Maxwell hired me as his personal assistant, with a salary that made my former hotel job look like pocket change. You helped me when no one else would, he told me. Loyalty like that deserves loyalty in return. Dominic eventually took a plea deal to avoid a longer sentence. He lost his company, his family, his reputation, and his freedom. The last I heard, no one visits him in prison, not even Patricia, who got probation for her cooperation. Sometimes justice comes from unexpected places. It's not about having power or money. It's about having the courage to stand up and speak the truth, even when no one believes you'll be heard. Yesterday, I ran into Vanessa at a restaurant. She was alone, much less bejeweled, picking at a salad. Isla, she acknowledged stiffly. I suppose you're happy with how everything turned out. I considered her question carefully before answering. I'm happy Maxwell is healthy and free, I said. I'm happy Noah can be his own person now. I'm even happy you got away from a toxic marriage. And Dominic? She asked. Are you happy he lost everything? I met her gaze steadily. Dominic lost everything because of his own choices, Vanessa. Not because of me or Maxwell or anyone else. She looked down at her plate. I should have seen it. I should have done something. Why didn't you? I couldn't help asking. She laughed humorlessly. Fear, comfort, denial, pick one. Would you have ever left him if this hadn't happened? I asked. Vanessa twirled her wedding ring still on her finger despite the divorce. Probably not. Gilded cages are still cages, but they're comfortable. Sometimes you need the cage to break before you realize you were never free. Do you miss him? I was pushing my luck, but I was curious. I miss the idea of him, she replied after a long pause. The charming, brilliant man everyone thought he was. But that man never really existed, did he? As I walked away, I realized something important. Being a bystander to cruelty is its own kind of cruelty. Standing by while someone is being hurt doesn't keep your hands clean. It just makes you part of the problem. So, what about you? Have you ever witnessed someone being mistreated and had to decide whether to get involved or mind your own business? What did you choose? And looking back, would you make the same choice today?